Now, as a direct continuation of the last video that I covered on YouTube boxing, Jake Paul has now called out. Okay, let me see here. So we got a Michael Jackson. Oh no, wait, that's a singer. Hold up. Michael Jordan. Okay, no, this is no Nate Robinson. Ah, here we go. We got a Mike Tyson. Hold up. What the f is going on? Mike Tyson? World heavyweight champion Mike Tyson. Talking with a lisp Mike Tyson? That Mike Tyson, who's like 60 years old? To be fair to Paul, this has to be an accomplishment by itself. I mean, the amount of leverage this dude has to pull athletes out of the retirement homes has to be unreal. Or at least the money's enough to stage a knockout. Even though the overwhelming evidence is suggesting that Mr. Everyday Bro is just trolling around with us, there are now a handful of fights that we can analyze to see really just how good he is. Now let me be clear, Jake Paul is not a terrible fighter. However, he's also not quite at the level of a good professional boxer. And I say the word professional boxer loosely because Luis Alcaraz Pineda is also considered a professional boxer at a very solid 2 wins and 7 losses. Now, it's just that the barrier of entry for boxing is really low. I mean, the homeless guy down the road could be considered a professional boxer if you really offered him a junior chicken as a prize. But Jake racking up an undefeated record up to the point of Tommy Fury isn't really all that uncommon actually. Fighters in boxing are especially meant to pad their fights, make the big headlines as the undefeated boxer. So why not fight a few nobodies in the beginning? It's no harm, right? It's for the promotion that Paul is targeting here, not the actual skill level. Now, the shock factor of seeing a retired Mike Tyson for nearly 2 decades come back and fight the dude from Bazardvark will surely draw eyes to watch this fight.
Please welcome the former undisputed heavyweight champion, the current defending WBA heavyweight champion of the world, one and only Iron Mike Tyson!
Mike Gerard Tyson was born on June 30th, 1966, nicknamed Iron Mike and Kid Dynamite, and later known as the baddest man on the planet. He is regarded as one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time. And fighting in the heavyweight division, Tyson had a relatively short stature compared to the average opponent, standing at only 5'10". Bigger and taller opponents meant that they had an advantage in reach, but on the inside, this is where Tyson dominated. The peekaboo method worked well for fighters fighting southpaw or orthodox, and Tyson was gifted with being ambidextrous, having equal strength in both hands and able to knock you out with either hand as well. He took a few punches on the outside to get onto the inside of larger opponents, and used the Dempsey shift to counter punch his opponents. This technique allowed him to make a linear shift and a training step before taking a deep shifting step, followed by a massive straight from his rear hand that would end opponents in one punch. Far removed from his prime, the biggest caveat is that Tyson is now aged 57 and is stepping into the ring with a 27-year-old. But in my opinion, even a 27-year-old Jake Paul cannot defeat Tyson. Of course, in a 100% legitimate match where nobody's getting paid off here. As I said before, Paul has more than a handful of fights that we can analyze from, and to be completely fair, from an unbiased point of view, he doesn't look too bad actually. Paul in some fights really pushes the pace and has some decent footwork and head movement. But once again, this is all relative to a complete beginner boxer, and relative to the opponents he's actually fighting. Like, this is me boasting about how I tripled a Town Hall 10 as a max 16 by spamming E-drags in the line. Like, there's really nothing to be too arrogant about. Now, this is not to say that he's a good boxer, but compared to the average guy, he's pretty good. And you need to compare him to an average guy because stripping away his influence, his followers, his subscribers, he is just an average dude who took boxing seriously for a few years. We can kind of see this in the hierarchical ladder of the people he's fought. He's better than the basketball players learning how to box, the MMA fighters learning how to box, and other YouTubers learning how to box. He's still worse than an actual professional fighter in Tommy Fury, albeit not too far back. However, is this really enough to stop Iron Mike Tyson? We are all aware of the little spiel that Paul has been doing for years, Blindly pick a guy who isn't a boxer and is at least double his age, and boom, you got your next opponent. But Tyson is far from Nate Robinson, and for one, Tyson fulfills that first criteria. He was a boxer, a world-class boxer in fact. And of course, the age is just to make it fair. We have to remove Paul from his celebrity status because nobody cares how many subscribers you have inside the ring. Paul is really just an above average Joe at boxing, and when you put it like that, Tyson, even at age 57, would demolish him. Now, we are not even considering the aspect of him potentially getting paid off here, as this is the only reason why Tyson is even fighting in the first place, because of the lucrative amounts of money he's getting paid. Just look at the example of Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul, a guy who's also retired for the better half of the decade, but still easily defeated Paul in their exhibition match. Mayweather weighed in at 155 pounds and Paul weighed in at 189 pounds. A 30-pound difference, and Logan is like a head taller than Floyd. But it doesn't matter. Floyd was a world champion, 50-0 undefeated, a world-class defender in boxing, and to fight a bigger guy who's once again slightly above average, it isn't even close. So if this was a 100% legitimate fight and not paid off, this would be exactly like Paul versus Mayweather, or like Daddy Salt Pop